Hey guys, what's happening? Max here. We're going to be checking out a BTS V Live today. I'm going to explore the relationship just a little bit more with ARMY, and I thought I'd do that through one of their V Lives. And this is in June of 2021, so almost 2 years ago now, so I understand this is a bit older, but we're going to start here. It's got a lot of views. I'm sure it's good. Let's begin.
감사합니다, 진 씨. 진짜 감사합니다.
이제 들어오셨습니다. 이제.
아니 이걸로 확인하면 되잖아. 왜 불러 확인해?
좋네요.
그래.
또 가시네.
또 가네.
That alone is pretty crazy, isn't it? The fact that they get already, right off the bat, 500,000 viewers on a V Live or a Weverse Live. And I've heard from other people there's been like millions and millions, maybe up to 10 million at one point live. That's insane. I'm curious to see how they interact. That's really what I'm curious about, to see how they interact with ARMY and to see each one of them individually interact with ARMY. For what I've seen so far, it just feels like a very natural relationship. It doesn't feel patronizing. You know, it feels like they're talking to a friend. But I'm so curious to know who they picture when they're speaking to ARMY. Like, who they picture. Maybe they talk about that in other interviews, but like, is it a specific person they picture? Is it sort of this spirit that they picture? I'm sure all of them have different answers, but I'm really curious to know. Yeah, and it's such a skill at this point, and it's so cool how they can be their complete goofiest selves in front of a live audience of millions of people. I think that's amazing. I think this is part of why we feel so connected to them, because we see them when they're just their raw, goofiest selves. It's also their level of sincerity and what they're willing to share with us, especially the hardships and the challenges they've gone through. But on the other side of it, I don't think a lot of people really talk about this, is that raw goofiness. We see that. We feel like we really see them when they're exposing that part of themselves to us, which they do so often.
와, 버터가 이렇게 정말 큰 사랑을 주시는데 우리가 이제 또 다음 나올 곡도 그러면 정말 어마어마한 사랑을 주신 예정이라는 거잖아요. 당연하죠. 죽이면 안 돼 이거.
근데
노래가 좀 좋아야 또 그만큼 사랑을 주지 않을까요?
저는 감히 얘기하지만 저는 신곡이 좀 더 좋은
그러니까 기대 진짜 해줘야 돼. 진짜 이거는.
Looks like the older boys are leading the discussion so far. And I don't know if that's necessarily common or if that's a trend, but it looks like RM, Jin, and Suga are kind of leading the way, and Hobie as well. And we're exposed to these big moments that they get to share together. These moments of excitement, of success. Like, we're a part of that experience with them. They're bringing us on their journey, and we get to hear them discussing these more intimate, exciting, life-changing moments and these sort of pivotal moments in their life. This is all part of that relationship. This is all part of that special dynamic that we have.
사실 지금 이 순간 제일 좋아하시는 분들 우리 아미 여러분들이니까.
사실 다이너마이트 때보다 실감이 더 안 나요.
Who said those who should be happiest?
지금 이 순간 제일 좋아하시는 분들 우리 아미 여러분들이니까.
Hobie.
사실
Right? And Hobie now brings the attention back to ARMY. You know, he brings the attention back to the audience right now.
제일 좋아하시는 분들 우리 아미 여러분들이니까.
Okay, Hobie showing his leadership in this moment.
이럴 때 우리가 한번 미국에 있어봐야 되는데.
그거를 아미가 해줬습니다.
그러니까요.
아 저희가 진짜
해주신 거 잘해요.
오죽하면
Yeah, I think all these guys are super aware of engaging ARMY directly and talking to them directly. You know, Jimin in particular, I look at him as a guy who's deeply empathetic, and it's so clear that he doesn't want to hurt anyone. He's always thinking about the other person. He's always wanting to put other people before himself. And you think that he's a guy who definitely thinks about including ARMY and addressing them in this sincere way, not leaving them out. RM understands this too intellectually, and RM's also a giving, empathetic person too, but I think he comes at it from just a little bit more of an intellectual standpoint.
나이가 들었네.
나이 드니까 애들이
아우. 우리 호주했지요.
Yeah, Sugar, loosen it up. That's amazing. Suga loosening up here, getting excited. And perhaps Suga's getting excited because RM's talking about sort of the potential negative response to their album and their songs dropping. Like, has BTS peaked? So perhaps there's a part of Suga that gets excited when it comes to overcoming the odds and proving the doubters wrong. I think there is. I think there's a big part of both RM and Suga that relish in the opportunity to prove the haters and the doubters wrong.
주의하는 게임에 그런 룸 하나 만들어주세요.
이런 느낌으로 할까요? 노력해보겠습니다.
제가 봤을 때 메이플이랑 가능할 수 있어요.
맞아요. 충분히 가능하죠.
아이고 웃기네요.
근데 진짜 지금 뭐 저희도 저희뿐만 아니라 이제 새벽에 이제 굉장히 많은 이 축하 메시지를
Yeah, so Jin joking around there. And again, a lot of this V Live so far is them just talking amongst each other like just best friends, having fun, having a laugh, which again is great. But then you see Suga now kind of bringing it back to the audience. And he started with saying, hey, we're so thrilled about the news. And you can see the guys' energy immediately shifted. I think the guys are super aware of when their tone shifts toward speaking directly to ARMY. I think that's what's happening here. I think these guys are probably really well adjusted and they have a real awareness around when their tones change. And based on their tone change, that essentially means we're either talking amongst each other or we're talking directly to ARMY. When each one of them directly communicates to ARMY, the other guys get silent. They sit back, they listen, and this is a direct message to ARMY.
이제 굉장히 많은 이 축하 메시지를 이제 위버스 통해서 이제 받거든요. 이제 트위터나 위버스 통해가지고 정말 너무너무 이제 아미 여러분도 이제 사실 저희만 받은 게 아니라 같이 받는 거잖아요. 너무 즐거워해주고 너무 기뻐해주셔가지고 솔직히 보면서 좀 늦게 잠들었어요. 좀 피곤하더라고요.
Yeah, see, no one talked there. There wasn't discussion amongst themselves. This was, a direct message to the audience. And then you heard Suga's message, they're so happy for us. I stayed up late reading those messages, like showing his gratitude directly. But it's interesting. He said, they're so happy for us, as opposed to saying, you're so happy for us. We appreciate that. So he's speaking to BTS, and he's letting the guys know, hey, these guys, they're so happy for us. But he's still kind of directing this message. He wants ARMY to hear this message. So that's actually a cool strategy because he's kind of bringing both worlds into the story here. I think it's probably important for ARMY to hear that these guys are grateful for their messages. Like, it's cool that Suga brought that up. We see the messages you send. We see the love. Like, that's encouraging. It's encouraging as a person to know that you see the comments, you see the messages. I'm not really going to feel as motivated if I know that you're really not reading fan messages. You're not really involved in understanding what the fans are saying. But because ARMY is probably really aware that BTS is really connected to the messages that fans send, they're going to be more likely to send those messages. They're going to be more likely to feel connected to these guys.
버터 이행시 합시다. 버터 이행시 한번 합시다. 버텨라.
터진다. 곧 우리의 컴백이.
야, 다들 우리가 있냐?
I feel like V is the most unpredictable in a way. He's like the most likely to just say something completely random or be extremely goofy. Like, he's unfiltered too. And he's confident in his unfilteredness. It's what we love about V. I think that's a big part of his charm. It's part of the beauty of him. He's raw and unpredictable and childlike in that way. I think he just provides a big source of entertainment for a lot of the guys. Again, You know, this adds to the connection that we feel here. Just seeing them kind of bicker amongst themselves and seeing Jimin kind of get defensive and like, hey guys, be quiet. Like, we get this special access to them. And this question is an indication. I think it's a good example of the access that we're getting to them. Has this new title song been revealed or not? Right? That is like behind the scenes discussion. That's stuff that you wouldn't think you'd be able to get access to. But we're getting access to it. So that is what I feel like enhances the connectedness. ARMY is this club, this VIP club, this VIP family that gets access to this cool information and these live, real-time conversations. They're trusting us by letting us in, by giving us access. I'm going to bring my walls down and give my heart and soul to these guys too.
마음의 준비 단기하시고.
자꾸 뒤에서 버터 자꾸 이행시 을루물이듯이 자꾸 얘기해.
어려워. 보여줘. 자, 하나, 둘, 셋.
버텨라.
버텨라. 오, 뭔가 다른데? 터. 턴가 아닌데.
털을 잡은 빌보드에서 버텨라.
턴을 잡았어.
No, I really do feel though like RM and Suga kind of, I don't know if they're all like this, but certainly in this V Live, in this live, they seem like they're the glue in a way in terms of facilitating the conversation in a way that engages both ARMY and BTS. And I know they're all capable of doing that, but maybe amongst the 7 of them, RM and Suga, they drive the pace of the conversation between the audience and the other guys in the group.
셀프캠 느낌으로다가.
좋아. 한 명씩 달라고?
아니야.
아니 그냥 이렇게 들고
우리가
맞춰가지고 딱 인사드리면 되지. 그렇지. 마, 저랑 가야지.
가자.
어디 가노? 아니 들어가.
And I like how RM just gets goofy with them too. Like he was making fun of Jimin seeming drunk without drinking and
오수했는데 왜 죽고 그래? 술 안 마셨는데 취한 거 같은데?
you know, just calling out JK, like, where are you going? Like, I like how they can just be natural, RM included. Although, see, RM's really impressive in that way because he's got such a big responsibility that he carries with him. But he's still able to just be himself and be a brother to these guys in the goofiest way and sort of call them out in this brotherly, loving way, while still being aware that it's important to engage the audience, and he's just got it figured out. It's impressive.
여러분들 너무너무 감사드리고 사실 보통 5주 일이 다 사실 우리 아메리카 덕분이죠.
맞습니다.
여러분들도 사실 어떻게 보면은 큰 성과를 이루신 거고 저희도 그렇고 지금 모두가 축하받아야 할 그런 분위기인 것 같습니다.
Yeah, so a lot of their messages seem like, hey, like, you've achieved something special. Like, this isn't just our award, this is your award too. Like, you've done this. And it's almost like ARMY is like the soul of BTS. When BTS addresses ARMY, they address them like they're another entity that's a part of the BTS overall unit. So it's like, hey, congrats to you. It's not just us that achieved this success and are 5 weeks straight #1. You guys did this too. So I wonder how, ARMY, I wonder how you guys feel when you hear that. Do you genuinely feel like you achieved something marvelous? Or do you feel like, hey, these guys achieved something marvelous. Yes, I'm so happy to hear that we supported them and that we're there for them. Or do you genuinely also feel, I don't know, do you also genuinely feel like, no, we actually achieved something? I'm curious. But I'd say the gratitude is sincere, and it's amazing how much they pull ARMY into this experience.
요즘 잉글리시 레슨 하던데.
세계로 뻗어나가려고 제가 왔는데 잉글리시가 지금 탁월해.
Recommendation, please.
Recommendation for what? 어제 끝나고 왔는데 둘이 죽은 줄 알았어.
And I've noticed Jin's sort of been keeping this light disposition the whole time, like he often does. But he's just sort of been light, and the lens in which he's looking at this interview And I'm sure a lot of these discussions is through this lens of humor. How can I crack a joke? How can I be funny? I want to keep things light. That's who he is. That's a big part of who he is. There's something nice about that. There's something easy about that. There's something kind of grounding about that in a way. You know, he certainly brings a very unique energy to BTS. And I think necessary at times. I've commented on this before because things can be really heavy with them. So he brings this almost necessary lightness at times.
자, 이제 슬슬 마무리해볼까요?
네.
저희도 가야 되니까.
너무 감사드리고 자 이제 마지막으로 좀
좀 마무리해 주시죠.
예, 여러분. 요즘에 사실 저희가 이제
It's interesting that they chose, who was that, RM, that said, hey, Jimin, why don't you wrap it up? It's interesting. Again, he's sort of dictating the pace here, and maybe he noticed, hey, Jimin's been a little quieter. We need to make sure everyone gets involved, or as many people get involved, because we know ARMY likes to hear from all of us. So maybe that was sort of a conscious thought.
같은 게 저희가 곡 내고 뭔가 콘텐츠 냈을 때 여러분들 반응 보는 게
그건 맞아요.
유일한 낙이에요, 진짜로. 뭐 따로 낙이라고 할 만한 것들이 없어서. 근데 진짜 유일한 낙이 돼주셔서 너무 감사하고 또 다음 곡 나오니까 기대 많이 해주시고 기분 좋은 하루 됐으면 좋겠습니다.
Yeah, as sincere as it gets, talking directly to the audience. Like, you know, you listen to Jimin, again, it feels like he's just engaging you directly. He really cares about you, and he's thinking about you.
기분 좋은 하루 됐으면 좋겠습니다.
I can see a lot of people feeling really connected to Jimin because of that. It's like you feel that he's got your back. Even moments during this interview or V Live, talking to RM or someone else, being like, hey, be good to ARMY or something along those lines. You kind of sense that he really has your back in that way.
설마 꼭
설마 어렵지 않아요, 여러분. 저도 다 해요. 하는데 더 편해서 그런 거예요.
자 우리 마지막으로 이 제목을 다 같이 한번 읊어보면서 네, 마무리하도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 어준다.
오준다!
안녕하세요.
아미 땡큐. 사랑합니다. 이거 카메라 이쪽에 있네.
Perhaps Jimin, because he can't see ARMY directly, perhaps he's not as like mischievous. You tell me. Maybe he's not quite as mischievous with ARMY because ARMY's not in front of him for him to show that he was just joking. And Jimin will do that sometimes. Like, he doesn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. He's extra sensitive. So he might joke around with someone or tease them, but then right away console them just to let them know it was a joke.
야, 잘못하면 스태프분들 나온다. 조심해라.
한번 나오자.
That was cool. I'm very happy I got to see that and sort of get into the relationship with ARMY and sort of focus on that a little bit more. The sense I get is it's just a real sort of inclusivity with the whole BTS ARMY experience. Like, they're bringing them into their world. Guys, as always, if you want to watch my uncut reaction and analysis, all you need to do is go to my Patreon page. I've included the link in my description below. Other than that, my name is Max. I will catch you soon. Peace.